Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We will be talking about becoming a U.S. citizen through naturalization, also known as the N400. Today, we are lucky to be having our managing attorney on. She is a board-certified immigration attorney. She was licensed in 2008. She founded the firm in November 2009. She is also an author of Build and Practice Your Successful Immigration Law Practice Without Losing Your Mind. And she also founded Power Strategy in 2020. So thanks, Ruby, for all that you do for our community. And I'm going to let you take it away with our learning objectives for the day.
All right, thank you so much, Dana, and thank you for that warm welcome and intro. So I was thinking about this topic because this is so important to our community. We've had so many legal permanent residents have their status for a long time or getting close to being eligible for citizenship. And a lot of times you know, if you're a green card holder, legal permanent resident, you feel comfortable, you've made it this far, you're at the last step of the game. And so one of the themes of this webinar is really just, we're trying to give you as much information as possible, but do have a consultation just to make sure you leave no stone unturned, that you are eligible, and that there's no issues, no red flags. Maybe there's something you don't think is a red flag, but it could be a red flag. And because honestly, I heard this somewhere and I believe it, it's the last chance for USCIS to figure out whether they made a mistake, and to review your file. And this could lead down to a road of immigration court and denial of your status altogether. Now, that might seem drastic. I do see things as an immigration attorney, and I have seen this happen multiple times. So just that's the reason, we'll continue, but the big theme is have a consult, because if you're going to try to do this on your own, just make sure that you're eligible. But we'll go ahead and give you some more information. So what is naturalization, whether you're eligible or not, preparing the application, the naturalization process, preparing for that interview. And I've been to a few interviews in the last couple of weeks. So that's the reason why this was top of mind for me. And I wanted to share receiving that decision, what happens if it's not approved, taking the oath, and the advantage of becoming a U.S. citizen. So we made that last slide just because sometimes people are on the fence. They're like, I don't know, I don't want to do that. It doesn't mean that you love your country less. It just makes you have more opportunities. And so that's something to consider. All right, so what is naturalization? Well, deciding to become a U.S. citizen is one of the most important decisions. And basically, naturalization is the process by which U.S. citizenship is granted to a legal permanent resident after meeting the requirements established in the Immigration Nationality Act. So this is the transition, the pathway a legal permanent resident, a green card holder goes to citizenship is through. It's called naturalization. So that's what we call it. And sometimes we'll say it NATS, and that's just like our short term for saying naturalization. So what are the requirements? You have to have a minimum age, so 18. Now, how do people under 18 get citizenship? It's usually because it was acquired or something along those lines. But if you don't, but for the most part, you need to be 18 to apply for this. You need to have your green card for at least 5 years, or if you're married to a U.S. citizen, or were married to a citizen and had VAWA, you can apply under 3 years. And then, or if you had I-751 based on abuse, you can use 3 years as well. So let's just say most people 5, and some situations based on marriage 3. You have to have good moral character for the period of time that we're talking about. So if it's under the 5-year rule, it's good moral character for the 5 years, or if it's under the 3-year rule, 3 years there. But generally, it's better to have more good moral character, and we're not like counting the dates and stuff. Basic knowledge of history of U.S. history. So you don't have to know everything. There's 100 questions that are on the internet. You could study those. And I mean, they're good to know anyway. I would say most Americans probably don't know all the answers, but you'll wow and impress people at parties and events if you know all of this information. You have to have lived in the U.S. a required amount of time, and generally speaking, it's more than half of the 5 years, or under the 5-year rule, or more than half of the 3-year rule. but you also need to have not, next point is you have to demonstrate continuous permanent residence in the US. Now, this is where some people get a little in trouble if they were out of the country for too long and they were expats, even if they had a reentry permit. So this is where we have a lot of clients who come to us because we're counting down the dates and double checking when they're eligible. You must show that you've been physically present in the US for 30 months. That's under the 5-year rule, and 18 months if you're married to a US citizen. And then you have to, this is another key point, jurisdiction of at least 3 months in the state where you claim residence. So if you just moved around, you need to wait 3 months until you are in that place. Now, if it's like you moved around in Houston, you don't have to wait, obviously. But if you move from like one state or next, that would be where you would need to do that. Now, this is why some people wait a really long time, well, not super long, but wait to naturalize because they're wanting to do the exam in another language. So you are exempt from the English language exam if you are 50 or older at the time of naturalization and have had your green card 20 years. So we call this the 50-20 rule. So let's say you're 52 and you've had your green card 20 years, then that means you can qualify, and that means you can do it in Spanish, Turkish, whatever language that you want to do it in. Or if you're 55 and older at the time of filing, and the time of filing is important, and you've had your green card at least 15 years. So 55, 15. So let's say you're 56 and you just got your green card. Now you're for 15 years, boom, now you can apply and you can do it in, you're exempt from English. You still have to do the civics exam, but you could do the interview in whatever language you want. And also, yeah, so it makes it easier for you. And one thing I'll note is that for people who are sort of like, I see this with like Spanish speakers who are sort of like on the fence, like they sort of speak Spanish, but the test would be, can you do the exam and can you do the interview in English? If you can't, then you should wait to be an exempt. So those are some of the tests to consider. So questions, can you speak, read, and write basic English? Do you have an understanding of the civics? Can you learn those questions and answers? Have you ever been arrested, detained, or cited by the police? Even like speeding tickets, we need to mention them. Things that are more concerned are like DWIs or anything of good moral character concerns as well. But we have to bring the documents. So I saw this case recently. Someone said, well, I had this crime like back a long time ago in this long, far away place. And they're like, okay, well, you need to bring the documents for that. So anything you say to them that happened, or even if it happened, you need to have proof of that. So, and even if it's a super long time ago and you can't find the documents, you still need to be able to prove that the absence of the documents, that you did a police clearance record, you looked and you can't find it. So they're very particular about that. Have you traveled outside the US since becoming a green card holder? You need to be able to show those trips. So not only will you have to show your passport with the stamps, but you should have there's a chart on one of the pages of the N400 that you need to say the in and out. And taxes are important, right? Why taxes important? One, it shows good moral character. You're paying into the system. So you should have the 3 or the 5 years worth of taxes on hand for good moral character. And 2, it tells you where you were living and if that jives with what you say in your application and you're maintaining your residence. Next thing, what do you need to do to prepare for filing? A photocopy of both sides of the green card, the filing fee. I think that this is just a little typo there, but the filing fee did not increase, so we're at $7.25. So that's not a change. It will not go up. We were afraid of that before, but no, it didn't. They were able to change that. So a ID photo color, identical color photographs. So basic passport style photos with your A number on it, G28 if you have an attorney of record. And this is also your opportunity to clarify any documents. So like if the green card said, that you had the a certain date, a name, you can fix that. That maybe they chose it from a name that was on your birth certificate, but that's not, maybe there was a mistake. Like one of the interviews recently, there was a mistake on the date of birth, or maybe there's, you know, a spelling mistake, or maybe you found out, I mean, this happens all the time with us. We'll find out that the person has a different spelling of their name. They never looked at their birth certificate. So this is that top opportunity where they're going to find out this, you know, maybe your green card says it's initial, but you really want your legal name to be this for your middle name. So, and you also can change your name as well. So this is your opportunity to think about it, make sure. So they're going to be really picky about what is your real true legal name and what do you want your name to be. And you can change your name too if you want to. So naturalization process recap. So you complete the application. You, first of all, let's go zero. Zero is you go have a really good consultation with a really good immigration attorney and double check you're eligible. And then you either hire them or you try to do this on your own. Now, you know, be cautious of which, if you try to do it on your own, but then you complete the application if you're eligible, and then you will get a receipt maybe within a couple of weeks, and then you might get a request for biometrics, or very likely what we're seeing now is they'll reuse your biometrics that are on file. And then naturalization interviews. So the interviews I just went to in Houston, they were like literally on the 1 year or right under the 1 year anniversary of when we filed them in 2020. So, but the processing times I think online are saying 14 to 16 months, but they might be more like a year right now. And then the oath ceremony, I mean, they're actually coming really fast. They're coming within a couple of months because what they're doing is they're just having little small ceremonies under COVID. They're at their local office. So that's what to expect. Now, can you travel while your N-400 is pending? Yes, as long as that doesn't disqualify you under the dates and but you need to be eligible. For the most part, you need to be eligible at the time you submit the application and at the time of the interview and at the time of the oath. So some people are eligible only at the interview, but not at the filing, and that can cause problems. And so just keep all of that in mind. When sometimes people file on their own and they come to us and they say, well, can you prep me and go to the interview with you? And I'm like, sure, we can do that. We need a copy of your file and we're going to pre-screen, make sure you're eligible, and then we can prep you and go to the interview with you. So that's another option too. So remember, you want to be prepared for the 3 components of the English test, which is reading a sentence, writing a sentence, and speaking during the course of the interview. The civics test covers the US history and government topics, which again, there's 100 questions and they're going to ask 10. If you get the first 6 right, boom, you don't have to keep doing it anymore. So yay. Be sure to consult with an attorney to prepare you. And if you don't pass, you have one more chance that they'll give you another opportunity, but you only get 2 chances per filing fee. So let's say you receive a decision, you're going to get one. You could get it in the interview. Usually they'll tell you right then if it's a recommended approval or it's they need a request for evidence or something like that. So granted, they might give you continuance, or they might, you know, I don't think they deny you normally like on the spot. They'll usually send it later by being reviewed by a supervisor. But for the most part, we get favorable information like on the spot. And usually we'll get like a recommended approval. And then like when I'm driving back to the office, we'll get the little notice from USCIS saying it is officially approved and we're waiting for an oath ceremony. So that's exciting. But what if it's not approved? Well, the biggest thing is you have to look at the letter. You have to see what happened. Was it a good moral character and then you just need to wait another 5 or 3 years? Is it that you weren't eligible in the first place and they're going to send you to immigration court? Is it something about they say you were part of the Communist Party and you're not eligible? Then, you know, you might be eligible to do the appeal. So there's lots of different scenarios, and that's when you need someone who's experienced to look at that and guide you through what the next steps are. And so don't freak out automatically. Like just have somebody look at it with you who has experience, and then you can guide you, because in some cases you could appeal or you maybe even just apply for naturalization later. There's no limit to how many times you can apply for naturalization. It's just a matter of energy, money, and time. So getting towards the end, taking an oath of allegiance. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. So you're not a citizen until you take that oath. So let's say we get approved in the interview, and it's maybe a month until the oath. We'll just, be on your best behavior and don't do anything crazy. And not that you should do it after you do the oath either, but just know that they will ask you some questions, make sure you're still eligible at the time of the oath. And when you do that, once you do the oath and you sign and you got the little wonderful, amazing certificate that was a long journey to obtaining it, to breathe a sigh of relief, and then you can go tell Social Security that you are a U.S. citizen. You can register to vote. You can go apply for a U.S. passport, and you can even update your work documents if necessary as well. So that certificate of naturalization is gold. Do not lose it because it can cost a few $100s to get a copy of it. And congratulations. So in conclusion, there's lots of advantages of being a citizen. I don't know if we should have said this in the very first slide to sell them on it, but just to seal the deal, you update the Social Security office. This helps with Social Security benefits and such, and they know what your status is. You have the right to vote, so you can go register right away. You can help family members by petitioning for them, certain ones like brother, sister, mom, younger kids, such like that, dad. Federal, state jobs that require for security clearances, you're able to get a passport. You can live outside of the country, not be worried about losing your citizenship, and you can run for office. So lots of opportunities there. So we hope you enjoyed this update about naturalization and what to do, how to be out if you're eligible or not, how to apply, why the importance of having immigration attorney, and I'll let Dana tell you on how you can stay connected to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruby. So yeah, if you guys have missed any of our previous presentations, you can find those in our Facebook videos and also on our YouTube. We talk about all sorts of immigration topics and trends and updates. Our next webinar is going to be on when to apply for an I-601 waiver, for fraud of misrepresentation, unlawful presence, criminal grounds, alien smuggling. So really interesting topic. I don't think we've done this one particularly. We've talked about I-601 waivers, but not this in particular. So I would suggest you tune in. And the registration for all these webinars are on our blog. And you can maybe make a pit stop at our success stories and check those out for some good vibes. But thank you all so much for joining us on our webinar. And we do hope to see you all on the next. Tune in and follow us on our social media. Bye-bye.
Bye.